Hi, Gints. It's Christina from The Upcoming. It's so lovely to speak with you today. Congratulations on the amazing film. So, would you like to start by sharing what Flow is about and what people can expect when they watch it?
Flow is an animated film about a cat, so there's no dialogue in the film. So all the characters are animals, and they behave like animals. They don't speak or walk on two legs, and they don't tell jokes. And so the cat has two fears in the film. The first fear is water, and the second fear is kind of others. It's kind of afraid of opening up to others. And one day there's this big flood which destroys the cat's home, and it's forced to share a small boat with a group of other animals. So it has to face those two fears. And yeah, they're on this journey in this flooded world, trying to escape the flood, and kind of trying not to getting along with each other.
Can you share what sparked the idea for the film?
Yeah, so it started for me a long time ago. When I was in high school, I made a short film about a cat, and it was inspired by my cat, which I had at that time. And that was the short film. But when I decided to revisit this premise years later and make a feature film, I wanted to tell a story about trying to work together with others, because it's my second feature film, and I made a feature film called Away before this one, and that film I made entirely by myself, and this was my first experience actually working together with others. So the story is kind of inspired by my own experience of making this film itself, and I think it's important to kind of tell personal stories, or something that is meaningful to yourself. And so yeah, that's kind of the start of the idea.
You've just shared why the cat played the leading role because you had a cat that inspired it. Could you also share how and why you chose his friends, the dog, the capybara, the lemur, and the big bird?
Yeah, so I had a cat like that, and later I had also two dogs, similar to the one in the film. The cat is kind of in the film, kind of on this journey of kind of learning to trust others and kind of, yeah, working together. But I wanted to have this character, the dog, who's on the opposite journey, who in the beginning is very trustful and always looking for someone to tell them what to do. Throughout the story, it learns how to be more independent. So I wanted to have a to show kind of the positives and negatives of both of these things. So it's not that simple. Working together is good and being independent is bad. I wanted to show both of these ideas in positive and not negative. And the other animals, I haven't had pets like capybara or lemur, but they were chosen thinking of the theme of the film, which is kind of looking for others. Looking for a group where you belong, or kind of your place in the world. And we see the bird and the lemur are always like looking for that in their own ways, which is very different from each other. They have different interpretations of this, and that's why there's some conflict as well with the characters. But they're all looking for that kind of place where they belong. And finally, there's the capybara, who is like maybe the only one who doesn't really change or learn anything. It has all figured out since the beginning. It's very like this peaceful, calm character, and it's kind of like this mentor figure in the film to the others. And because I thought capybaras would be great in this film, because I saw like pictures of capybaras really like being very friendly, or kind of peaceful with all kinds of animals and even some predators. And I thought it would be both funny but also kind of meaningful to have this character who's easily getting along with everyone.
I'm sure you've been asked this before, but how do you feel about comparisons of Flow's story with Noah's Ark?
Yeah, it wasn't at least consciously deliberate. I started the story kind of thinking of the personal aspect for me, and kind of I didn't want any antagonists in the film, so maybe so it's kind of a cat versus nature film. So the flood comes from that, kind of showing the biggest fear that the cat has, which is the flood and being surrounded by water. And and so yeah, and I didn't want any humans in the film, so it's all animals. And kind of tend to tell kind of these road trip films where they're always on the move. So So that's why they're in this boat, which allows us to kind of have a comedy and conflict within this space. They're kind of forced to be there together, and it would be hard for me to kind of start with some big message or kind of big reference to something. I always have to like find my own way in, and sometimes these other like meanings or references, they kind of emerge naturally. But if I would kind of start with that deliberately, I think it might be too forced or kind of too direct, and that's why I kind of start with the emotion, and then the meaning kind of evolves naturally.
What were some sources of inspiration, such as other films, books, events, or experiences that influenced Flow?
So speaking of other like films and media, it's kind of hard for me to say because I have so many influences, but most of them are kind of again subconscious. In terms of real life, it's my own experience of making this film and trying to figure out how to kind of live with my anxieties and fears, and kind of like trying to process that throughout the film. Maybe some of the films that I wasn't like consciously again referencing, but that had a big impact on me growing up, or like really blew my mind, or maybe like Children of Men in terms of the camera, how it's used to tell the story. Maybe some of Paul Thomas Anderson's films, which are very kind of emotionally raw and unpredictable. And as I understand that he writes the scripts, but there's a lot of improvisation on the set, well, during production. In our case as well, we had the script. Basically, I had written many drafts of the script, but when I did the animatic, I didn't read the script. I was just like improvising. I was going on based on my memory of the script, and sometimes I would veer off the path and kind of discover some new ideas, and some scenes which are in the script I didn't even put in the animatic because I felt that didn't belong. So it was very organic in a way, because I don't know, sometimes animation can be quite constructed and just direct, and I wanted to have that looseness and spontaneity in our approach. So I wanted to kind of improvise, which I think you can do on smaller productions. You have that freedom. You can take more risks and be more bold. But again, once we went into production, we had to be very precise. We didn't have any deleted scenes because sometimes in bigger productions they tend to like change things last minute, which can be very expensive and time consuming. But we couldn't do that. We had to be very precise and just like only focus on things that are on screen and not waste any money.
Flow has a very broad appeal, and even though it's not a children's film, it may be the first feature-length silent film that many children ever see. How do you feel about introducing silent cinema to a new generation?
Yeah, I would say I think it could be a children's film. So it's both for kids and adults, and like you're usually asked if it's either one of these, but I think it can be both. And we try to kind of respect the audience, like respecting kids that they will figure it out. We're not like spoon feeding them or kind of explaining everything too much, which sometimes I feel like kids' films tend to do, like over explain things and have the music really like tell you exactly how to feel at all moments. And so we wanted to kind of like let the audience like discover the film themselves and put some clues together themselves, which we let them do. But yeah, and speaking of the silent film, I would maybe describe it as a dialogue-free film rather than a silent film, because the sound and the music is a very big part of this experience, and we hear the characters speaking in their own language as animals do, and I think we can understand them, and the sound is very immersive. We spent a long time on that, and there are sequences with no music for a very long time where you can kind of feel the wind and the water, and feel like you're in this world, which was important. And also the music, there are some sequences again with no sound effects, with just music, where it really develops for a long time, and you get to be really immersed in one emotion, so yeah, again, speaking about the music, I did the music. I started writing the music while I'm still writing the script. So it really influences everything. It influences the story tempo and the atmosphere. So we didn't use any temp score from other films. I would just edit the film using the original music I would write, and then we brought on another composer, Richard Zalbalodis, who's a lot more experienced as a composer, because I still kind of consider myself as an amateur in terms of music, because I didn't go to a music school, or I don't play any instruments. But Richard's really like pushed the music and kind of made it a lot more cohesive and had this richer sound. So it was, I think for me, making the music is one of the most favorite parts of the whole process. And in this kind of film, we can really like play and explore in ways that maybe a more conventional film, it wouldn't be possible.
That's all I have. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.